anytime you see these white MAGA people, or even some of these blackface MAGA Negroes, I call them the help. Whenever they go, Ketanji Brown Jackson's a DEI hire. Well, guess what? This one user on TikTok did something really interesting. So what he did was, it's called debunction junction. That's what he goes by. So what he did was, he said, you know what? Let's use Elon Musk AI tool Grok to actually do a comparison on the Supreme Court justices. And this is what he discovered.
She is the epitome of a DEI hire.
All right, so this guy is calling Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson the epitome of a DEI hire. But is that true? And I thought what I'd do for this video is compare the last 4 Supreme Court justices to be seated. That's Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. These are all Trump nominees. And this is Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is nominated by Joe Biden. And I know a lot of people hate AI, but I love it for unbiased comparisons on multiple variables. And so to start with, we're going to go to Elon Musk's Grok, and I'm going to ask it, can you give me a side-by-side comparison of all the recent Supreme Court justices and their qualifications before being named to the bench? Let's compare the resumes of Ketanji Brown Jackson, Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and Neil Gorsuch. I'd like a detailed breakdown of their previous education, clerkships, and experience as both a lawyer and judge before being named to the bench. If possible, rank them 1 through 4 at the end and include a score of 100 for each. 100 being the most qualified candidate ever, and 0 being wholly unqualified. And as you can see, there is my prompt, and here is its reply. It created this massive, long table here of all the information. And then down here at the end, it says that it's going to rank it 20% on education, 20% on clerkships, 30% on legal experience, and 30% on judicial experience. And as you can see down here at the bottom, under the ranking and scoring, it actually ranks Ketanji Brown Jackson first with a score of 92 out of 100. Then it ranks Brett Kavanaugh second with a score of 88 out of 100. If we scroll down here, you'll see that Neil Gorsuch takes third with a score of 86 out of 100, and last is Amy Coney Barrett with a score of 80 out of 100. And then just for good measure, I said, if you did this same analysis with all 9 Supreme Court justices at the time they were nominated, can you give me the same rankings and score? And here's how Grok ranked all 9 Supreme Court justices, with Sonia Sotomayor taking first with 94 out of 100, and Amy Coney Barrett isn't last anymore. That belongs to Clarence Thomas with 78 out of 100. So I'm sorry, conservatives, if you're looking for DEI hires that have been placed on the Supreme Court, this is your number 2 offender, and this is number 1.
Ain't that something, Scott? Now, of course, first of all, we know they don't care, but they love throwing it out there. And so, and I say this to all the black people, you can that analysis right there shows you can try to sit here and wave your degrees, defend yourself. They're racist. They'll never concede it. They don't want you there.
Yeah, but they're hypocrites too, because we know that Justice Clarence Thomas was not the most qualified at the time under Bush, for sure. And I don't know Amy Barrett very well, her judicial history, but AI says she's ranked second to last and lower than the last 4. I can believe that. Black people, few of us get to fail forward. When we fail, we go back. But people with no melanin in their skin, they keep winning. They keep going forward. Mediocrity is the order of the day. And we still, even in 2025, have to be bigger, better, brighter, stronger, faster, more intellectual, harder, more hardworking than our white counterparts, whatever the industry is. It is a fact. If you want to challenge me on that, I've had these discussions with leaders in other industries, all of them. And if you're black and at the top of your game, I got to tell you, you work twice as hard, but you're twice as credentialed as your white counterparts. You just are across the board. And so this is our reality. I tell young people all the time, racism always has a presence, but your grandfather, your father, and your great-grandfather suffered more, had to work harder, and did more than where we are in 2025.
This is why I say, Rebecca, with all seriousness, sincerity, conviction, fuck them.
Wait. What'd you say?
Fuck them. I am not going to give you a TED talk on my credentials.
Really? Because the other ones ain't shit.
Rebecca, go ahead.
So, like, listening to like that Black MAGA dude, like, who is he? Because the weird self-flagellation that he did in order to bend himself into a pretzel to what show I'm not like the other blacks. Like, I'm not really understanding what's his point in going after Judge Ketanji. Like, no one asked him. And he didn't have any metrics to really articulate his point. That just doesn't make sense. So it's like all these randoms are just doing rage bait on social media. And what's unfortunate, many of these platforms reward that rage bait, and then it gets monetized.
Yeah. And plus, they ain't got nothing else to do.
Joe?
There was no sister getting to the Supreme Court unless she was airtight. So I knew once she got there that she was the real deal because she had to be.
Oh yeah,
that was her reality. And so even then, it's just
straight.
It's all the more frustrating when they get a brother to talk about it. Now you got to go through all these changes, take away this dude's BSU card, disinvite him to the barbecue. I mean, the whole thing. It's just crazy. And then, aside from being papered up from a standpoint of having the qualifications, which she has, and on paper, she runs rings around Amy Coney Barrett, to be honest with you. Even then, after you do all that, there's this multiple social languages that we have to speak, where we're in the belly of the beast all the time. So not only do we have to be better on paper, do we have to be better from a qualification standpoint? I believe we do. I also believe that intangibles and other things that don't make it to paper, we have to be better at as well, because you've got to be able to speak all of these social languages. And even after you do all of that, there are people that would actually tone their mouth to say that this is a DEI hire. But most of the time, all of that is deflection. When they say there's a DEI hire, they know that they've got a legacy son that has no business at that university or on that job, but he got it anyway. When they say that, you don't belong here, no, it's because you know that you don't belong here. Or something the other day, they were talking about naming, I don't know, the Met or some place after Melania Trump.
The Opera House at the Kennedy Center.
The Opera House.
Which is a joke because she can't even spell opera.
Right.
And listen, I'm telling you right now, House, House is a part of the White House, and you can spell her the H, the O, the U, and the S, and I don't think she gonna get it right.
So, and here's the other thing, jumping around a little bit here, he has got such a thing, Trump has got such a thing for Obama. Fundamentally, he's jealous of that brother. He's jealous.
Oh, yeah. First of all, the Nobel Peace Prize, the poll numbers.
Right. He's never
he mad because he's thinner, his crowds, all this sort of stuff.
He knows, yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. I need people to understand, though, and which is why I wrote my book, White Fear. Y'all need to understand what these cats are doing. I'm telling you, they're fixated. They are desperate because the world has changed. And let me be real clear. They don't like black people, okay? They don't want Latinos here, but they want white women to shut up, lay down, birth their babies, and stay in the house. This is Charlie Kirk talking to Tucker Carlson. I keep telling y'all what their game plan is. Roland.
Card. So, but the power of young white men in this country, if they were motivated and purposeful, yeah, young white men helped us win a world war and get to the moon and split the atom.
You better give him weed and fentanyl and benzodiazepines and DraftKings and porn just to kind of disable them so they don't rise up and eat you. That's what I would do. I'm just saying, like, if I were in charge of society, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm afraid of these guys.
You're so right. And I try to, I listen to your show all the time, Tucker. And
sorry.
When you say stuff like that, I try to challenge it. I'm like, is it really a centralized conspiracy? I'm like,
no, it's a conspiracy of instinct.
But then I'm like, I got nothing. But it's like, if you were trying to make the most. By the way, if you look at just the genetics of it, like I'm Scots-Irish, I'm like very disagreeable, boundary pushing, like rebellious. I know my genetic type. And by the way, genetics matter. We should talk about genetics more. It's not racist to say that. So my genetics come from all the way, from Scotland, from the Maxwell clan, fought alongside William Wallace. But if you want to like kind of calm down that kind of Appalachia fighting spirit, man, you would do what you're doing right now.
It's a Protestant spirit. I mean, let's just get really honest about it. It's the people who founded the country were Protestants. I'm as pro-Catholic as anyone could be. My best friends are Catholic. I'm
Calvinist too.
Not against Catholics at all. I love Catholics. However, this country was founded by Protestants because they think for themselves. And they're the legacy, they're the heirs of Martin Luther, who took on, the 1500-year-old church by himself.
Totally.
They are people who believe they communicate directly with God, that their conscience is more important than federal law. And they're really hard to deal with. And so you have to destroy them first. And they did.
Well, they're not done yet. There's still a lot. And that's...
Well, I know some. I am one.
But by the way, even the young men that are currently lost, let's bring...
That's what they want, Rebecca. They are trying to they're trying to galvanize young white men because and their whole deal is to these white men, you're being left out. It's DEI. It's those women. It's them. And it's these feminists. And they're taking your jobs, taking your opportunities. And Charlie Kirk's whole mission, and Charlie Kirk is a white male college dropout who is not the brightest bulb in a dark room. And he actually represents many of these dumbass white men in the country who want, they're the ones who want to go back to how America used to be, where they ran everything. Rebecca, go ahead.
Yeah, so the ideology that he's espousing is of the 3%ers, right? The 3%ers really isn't about a quantifiable 3%, but is literally, they believe there are three sets of people who belong in this country. The first set are the WASP. So when you hear them talk about the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, specifically, we're not talking about Eastern Europeans or those white immigrants, European immigrants who came in like second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and whatever current wave we are in European immigration to the United States. They're talking about those original descendants of Anglo-Saxons. That was very clear listening to both Tucker and Charlie talk about it. They believe that they're the first folks who actually have the authority or are the true Americans. The second group are veterans. They believe that if you fought for this country, then you too are owed a piece of this country. The third group, ironically, are descendants, African descendants of American slavery, because they believe, and I'm part of that group, they believe that we are here not because of equality, but we're here to have servitude to the WASP. And so what they are espousing is a clear white nationalist ideology that doesn't include every white person. So what's really interesting is we're seeing a flatness in race in this country, and we're seeing that white people are struggling with the loss of their identity, of their ethnic identity, their ethnic heritage, because they have succumbed to the ideology of whiteness. We know that as different waves of people have come into this country, if we could start like maybe with the 1880s, go to the 1890s, early, the turn of last century, one of the things that we notice by the time that European immigrant that's from a non-Anglo-Saxon country, by the time they're second generation in this country, they have now been washed, and now they are now deemed as white folks. So that nationalist agenda that we just saw doesn't include any of those people, quite frankly, who probably immigrated from Europe, probably post 1830s. So it's really interesting, especially when we look at our Hispanic brothers and sisters trying to talk about how they're white just because they're ethnically Hispanic, but racially they are considered white. The Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Charlie Kirks of the world, they do not consider you to be white because you are not a part of that original WASP group, which is really interesting, watching some of those same Hispanic people on TikTok saying, well, this is not what I voted for. You were never included in this equation of white nationalism. So I think it's very important for people to go back and read some of those writings from over 250 years ago to understand what this fight, what this battle that we're in actually is.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.